Welcome to Withdraw Consent. I'm Victor. This is Jack. So we get a lot of comments on various videos and platforms about when we're talking about the Jewish people, and that there's Jews of different races and different backgrounds and just branches and all kinds of stuff. And I ended up having an idea about it, but it was spawned by talking about these comments. And so Jackson gave us some background and a starting point for this.
Yeah, and I'm always looking at the comments because I know we're missing stuff. We don't have everything
Totally,
perfect.
yeah.
And when I see it, just a series of comments over the course of the video, I'm like, maybe I'm missing that, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so this is like there's the Ashkenazi Jew, I don't even know if I'm saying this right, Ashkenazi Jews, and then there's the Sephardic Jews.
Okay.
So the Ashkenazi Jews come from like Russia, but the theory is that they're not ethnically Jewish.
Okay.
They're religious converts who are basically white Russians.
But it's generation after generation of being following Judaism.
The Talmud, yeah.
Okay.
And then the Sephardic, lots of times they're related to like Spain and Portugal and the things that happened there. Remember when the Muslims came up and then the Europeans drove them out? But they're ethnically descendants of Abraham. This is how the story goes. Okay. And there's all this controversy in here about because there's Christian identitarians who say white people are the real Jews. And then really everybody's trying to get what's the ethnic thing? And then I want to reference Martin Luther, which we did a video on. I'll put a link below. But he said, I don't care about your birthright because birthright's not the most important thing. If you want to see that argument, you can read the book or watch the episode. But also, if you look in the Bible in the New Testament says that there's now a spiritual house of Israel, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then that's people who believe in Jesus.
Right.
So, I mean, I don't really want to quibble who's the Jewiest of the Jews. Paul says he's the Jew of Jews. I mean, whatever, but I don't really want to quibble about it. But basically, I said, maybe we should do some historical research on this and do an episode on this.
Okay.
And then he just basically blew me out of the water with a simple point.
Yeah, so this, to me, the ethnicity has nothing to do with this. This isn't a race point or anything like that. This is a group of people, no matter what their DNA says, that believes that they are better than everyone else, and they are willing to treat people and do whatever they want to everyone else because they are better, because that's what they're taught as their religion in the Talmud. And so I don't care if you came from Abraham or if you're white or Ethiopian or anything. If you're following these rules, you can't play nice with everyone else. And that's my point.
It's a beautiful point because it just wrecks my whole idea. And it's like, if you care about the birthright stuff and you don't buy the Martin Luther thing or you want to prove that you're the real Jews or whatever, like the Black Hebrew Israelites,
right?
Christian, there's all types of groups, then go for that. But we're really talking about how you treat people. Right. I want to live in a country where we don't have to pay interest.
Right.
There's a small group of people charging everybody interest.
Right.
So we got a conflict here. And I don't care if the small group of people is an Ethiopian Black Jew, because we're talking about religious Jews here.
Right.
Right? A Nordic German Jew convert, and a Chinese Jew. If those are the three kingpins, I don't care what your ethnicity is.
Yeah, I feel like we're just back into the Jew trap. Right. And people say Jew, and we're not really sure. What do you mean by that? Is it the religion? Is it DNA? Or is it because you're from Israel?
Right.
And it's so confusing because nobody uses different terms for it. If you did, this wouldn't even be a subject. Right. We would know what everyone was talking about.
Right. And we've had this idea for a long time because I'm going to link back. I'm going to go way back to an old video, the most racist person in history. Okay. Do you remember we talked about Adolf Hitler?
Right.
And we talked about how he discriminated so heavily against all these Jews, but then he also had these same Jews in his military as two of his field marshals because you're messing up the words there.
Right.
He had some Hebrews in his army and some Hebrews as his field marshals and a Hebrew as his personal doctor. Right. None of them were Jews. They were Christians. It was the religious Jews he didn't like because they were doing the sex traffic, the CP, the usury, all the terrible things going on. They were way off into it.
Right.
And just subverting the entire consciousness of the German people, as is being done in the United States and the West today.
Totally.
Just go look at your kids' school, textbooks or whatever.
Yep.
And so basically then we just conclude by saying that whether they're white Jews or... You can have that battle if you're interested in it. But as far as our ideology goes, we're not interested at all.
Doesn't matter.
Because it doesn't matter one way or the other.
Right.
I don't want an Ethiopian Jew charging me interest or a Sephardic Jew or an Ashkenazi. I'm cool.
Totally.
Or my kids. Grabbing one of my kids. You know what I mean? don't care. You know,
Yeah.
I just care that there's this religion.
Uh-huh.
So I'm a religionist, hardcore religionist.
Yeah, I think that's the way to put it.
Right.
Yeah.
And so was Hitler.
Right.
Terrible religionist. And man, there's so many religionists in history.
Right.
The Crusades were fought over religionism, and I'm not pro-crusade. But then when you talk about like bringing Islam into Spain, we mentioned it earlier, that was religious. They were convert or die. And then the Christians did the same thing. It was all Christian nations united because it was France coming into Spain. Did they keep Spain?
No.
Gave it back because it was a religionist thing.
Oh, okay.
They were like, we got to get these dirty Muslims out of there, and the Muslims were like, we got to get these dirty Christians out of there, these pagans. You know,
right?
That's fine. I'm cool with that. You know,
right?
Well, I guess
okay. Yeah, I think that's good enough. Love to hear from people who have left the comments. Do you understand the point we're trying to make and why it doesn't matter? Love to hear your thoughts on it or people that agree, whatever. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. We'll see you next time.